for the MJ take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Huge NBA trade the night of the NBA All-Star Game as the Sacramento Kings trade away their star All-Star center DeMarcus Cousins to the New Orleans Pelicans, not for Anthony Davis either, but for Buddy Hield, Langston Galloway, Tyreke Evans, a first-round pick in 2017 and a second-round pick in 2017, and perhaps a 2019 first. I've seen some reporters saying that, but from what I can find, I don't believe that to be true. So I think it's just the 2017 first, the 2017 second, Buddy Hield, Tyreke Evans, and Langston Galloway. And also the Kings are including Omri Caspi with DeMarcus Cousins. So that's the trade. And I understand the initial reaction of a lot of people to say, ha! The Sacramento Kings, they don't know what they're doing. They're morons. They're idiots. I like the move. I'm not the biggest fan of DeMarcus Cousins in terms of the prospects of winning an NBA championship, which every team in the NBA, to me, should be thinking about. Okay, to me, every team in the NBA should be thinking about how can we build a championship team? How can we reach that point, that promised land? And I don't like DeMarcus Cousins as ever really being that guy. He's a great player. If we're ranking the players in the NBA, he's top 10 to me, maybe even top 5. He and Anthony Davis will be a great combination. They will next year be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference and compete for probably the Western Conference semifinals. I'm not sure they're going to win the whole thing like some of you will, but I'm going to get into that later. But the problem is for me, DeMarcus Cousins upstairs mentally, he lacks a lot, man. I mean, you're talking about a guy that this year has over 16 technical fouls, or perhaps just about 16, and he's a hothead. And still, this guy's like now 27, 28 years old, and he still lacks self-awareness, still lacks discipline at this advanced age in his career. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that is going to lead you to the NBA championship. I don't think he's ever going to be that guy. Now, with that in mind, for the Pelicans, I get it. You want to pair Anthony Davis with somebody. I would have asked you for Paul George, who, yes, is a worse player than DeMarcus Cousins, but to me, he has more stuff mentally. He's more prepared mentally, more mature mentally than DeMarcus Cousins is, and I would have liked that pairing more than Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. But the Pelicans will improve. And to me, this year, they're going to go to the playoffs. Okay, right now, they're about the 10th seed, maybe 11th seed in the Western Conference. Let me check the official standings. They're about 3 or 4 games out of the 8th seed. In fact, they're only 2.5 games behind the Denver Nuggets for the 8th seed. They will catch up. For the 7th seed, they're 9 games behind. I don't think they're going to catch up to the Thunder. They could, but I doubt that. So let's say they're the 8th seed. They're probably going to be knocked out. In fact, I will say definitely knocked out by the Warriors because you look at the Pelicans right now. You like Jrue Holiday. He's very good. You like DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis. That's great. They literally have no one else except for Terrence Jones, who's pretty good. And that's it. You're talking about Solomon Hill, Etwan Moore. They just traded away Tyreke Evans. They just traded away Buddy Hield. They just traded away Langston Galloway. Tim Frazier, they have nothing. I mean, their bench is god-awful, okay? So they're not going to be able to beat the Warriors yet. They're not deep enough. So let's say they go into this offseason. They sign some depth, and they have to re-sign Jrue Holiday, by the way, who will ask for some money, a lot of money. So assuming they re-sign him, which is a lot to say, they're not going to have much money to dedicate to another player if they want to re-sign DeMarcus Cousins. So this cap now becomes an issue. Will they be able to fill out this roster? I don't know. You're going to need to put shooters around these guys, and now you don't have a first-round pick or a second-round pick to select cheap players that can do that for you. There are some issues with this team, and I'm already seeing some people saying they're going to compete with the Warriors, they're going to beat the Warriors. I like the mentality that we're going to attack what the Warriors cannot do, and that is inside. We're going to stop them from scoring. Or no, we're going to score on them inside. We're going to go inside, and you'll be very successful at that. but to me only to a certain extent, because they're going to be shooting threes while you're shooting twos, and Alvin Gentry is a guy where his system isn't a perfect fit for these guys. They've molded their games to be more outside guys, but at the same time, I don't think he maximizes their potential. So to me, during the offseason, in fact, before the offseason, in March, I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling John Calipari. And I'm saying, come here and try to coach DeMarcus Cousins. Because if you want to win an NBA championship with DeMarcus Cousins, you're going to need a strong coach that can keep this guy calm and intact. Because you cannot afford to have DeMarcus Cousins suspended in the NBA Finals. And man, this is a guy that would do it. This is a guy that in the NBA Finals will be suspended because he's going, maybe 1 or 2, 3 games, it wouldn't shock me, because he's going to lose his head at the worst possible moment in the NBA Finals, in the Western Conference Finals, in the Western Conference Semifinals. He will lose his head. That's what concerns me about DeMarcus Cousins. Again, he's a great player, but man, I'm not sure he has the stuff mentally to get it done. That's what concerns me. Again, why do I like it for the Kings? The return wasn't much, but I think it's pretty good. Because again, I'm not in love with DeMarcus Cousins long term, and what he has done is he has brought the Kings to a point to where they're going to be out of the top 10, okay, for the 2017 NBA draft when they had him. Okay, that's where they were moving towards. And they wouldn't be able to keep their pick because they only had a top 10 protected pick. Now they're able to tank this season. They're going to probably finish, let's say, 6th worst, maybe 5th worst in the NBA. Now, the Philadelphia 76ers maintain the right to swap picks with the Sacramento Kings, but to me, the Sixers will be no better than the 8th worst team in the NBA. So you're looking at a top 8 pick probably in the 2017 NBA draft. Good. Next year, the Kings will stink, okay? You tank, you draft a high draft pick, and then who knows who it's going to be, okay? DeAndre Ayton or Zion Williamson or who knows. You take a nice big man. Next year, there's going to be a bunch of big men. And then to me, you could have what the Pelicans had in Anthony Davis. Remember, they got rid of Chris Paul. They traded Chris Paul. They stunk. They took Anthony Davis. And then now they're where they are. They're not great, but they had to do something. The Pelicans, on the other hand, now they're going to be next year to be a top 5 seed in the West. Now, some people will argue top 3, top 2. Again, I need to see how the roster is going to fill out. The roster's weak. I mean, outside of Drew Holiday, Terrence Jones, DeMarcus Cousins, and Anthony Davis, this roster is really, really weak. And you're talking about players that they're not going to know how to win in the NBA Finals, Western Conference Finals yet. I mean, these are very inexperienced players. I'm going to take the Warriors all day. I'm going to take the Spurs all day. I'm going to take even the Clippers all day, assuming they're healthy, over this this Pelicans team this year and probably even next year. It's easy to say, okay, Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins, good, they're going to win. Let's calm down a little bit. I like this trade for the Kings. I think you're pressing the reset button. I think Buddy Hield hasn't had a great rookie season, but he has some potential left within him. You have a 2017 draft pick now for the Pelicans. You have your own. Assuming that the Sixers don't swap, you could have, let's say, the 6th pick in the draft. You could have, let's say, the 16th pick in the draft this year, next year, maybe the number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick. And you have a nice duo there. This could be Buddy Hield, Tyreke Evans, the 6th pick in the draft that you will now have that you would not have had if you would have kept DeMarcus Cousins and end up being a playoff team this year. Or not a playoff team, but a team that just finished out the top 10. Now you have the 6th pick, let's say the 16th pick this year. Next year, the number 2, number 3 overall pick. You get Buddy Hield, you get Tyreke Evans, you get Langston Galloway, and you get a 2nd round pick. This is a reset for the Kings, and I'm fine with it. To me, if you want to reset your franchise, this is the way to do it. What concerns me is they do not have their 2019 first-round draft pick, so you would hope that by then they're okay. They probably won't be. This is going to be a 2 to 3 year rebuild, but I'm fine with it. Again, I think they needed to press the reset button. I think they completely maxed out with DeMarcus Cousins. They weren't going to get better. I think they were not going to get better for the next 5 years. They could have kept DeMarcus Cousins, re-signing for the next 5 years. They would not have gotten better. There's not one free agent coming to Sacramento, and they're not going to be able to draft high enough to take good players because, as we've seen with the Kings, they don't know how to draft. when you give them choices, they don't know what to do. They had the 13th pick this year that they traded down. They had the 8th initially, traded down to the 13th. They took Yorgis Papagiannis, and then they took Skal Labissiere with the 28th overall pick. Those are terrible draft picks, and I told you at the time, they don't know how to draft. So let's limit the amount of options they have by picking high in the draft, okay? You can only pick so many players high in the draft unless if you're a complete and utter moron. And by the way, I think they should fire Vlade Divac, their current president of basketball operations, but that's another story for another day. I like Dave Yeager as the head coach, by the way. So I think this limits their options in the draft to where they have to make a smart choice, hopefully for once, and it resets their franchise, and it sets them on, to me, a more attainable approach to getting an NBA championship in the next 10 years, because I don't think they're ever going to get it with DeMarcus Cousins. I don't think anyone's coming to go play with him, and I don't think they're going to be able to draft someone in the teams to help him win, ultimately. So I like this move for the Kings, but to me, now what they have to do is they have to start drafting better. Okay, my God, stop taking the Yorgis Papagiannises of the world and the Skal Labissieres and the Ben McLemores and the Ray McCollums, and stop trading away or letting go the Isaiah Thomases and the Hassan Whitesides of the world. My goodness, the Sacramento Kings. As for the Pelicans, they will ascend to a playoff team. Will they ever win an NBA championship? Until someone else comes there or a multitude of players come there, I'm saying definitively no. Because even if they beat the Warriors, let's say they take advantage of the Warriors' weaknesses, they're faster than the Spurs. LeBron is smarter than all these players. LeBron and Kyrie, they're going to absolutely kill the Pelicans in this dream scenario, by the way. This is a dream scenario. LeBron would handle business. So to me, and I'm not saying I don't like the trade for the Pelicans. I get it. But I might have preferred not doing it, honestly. They're going to be improved. They're going to be a playoff team. I'm not sure if this puts them on the track for an NBA championship. That's just my opinion. We'll see what proves to be true. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. And one more thing I forgot to mention. DeMarcus Cousins is scheduled to be a free agent in the summer of 2018. What if he doesn't re-sign? Now that he's been traded after his rookie contract, he no longer can be the designated player exception, which basically allows you to pay him a ridiculous amount more than potential free agent suitors. I've heard that he's from Mobile, Alabama, I believe. So that's close to New Orleans. So they believe he's likely to re-sign. If he does not, okay, let's say he goes somewhere else, doesn't matter where, the Pelicans are starting from ground zero. They're going to have no Tyreke Evans, possibly no Drew Holiday, and now no DeMarcus Cousins, no Buddy Hield, no 2017 first-round pick. I mean, it's dangerous, man, and it's possible. I think he would re-sign. I'd put the odds at, let's say, 60%, but 40% chance he doesn't. And, man, that has to concern you as well. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the DeMarcus Cousins trade. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. And I'm out. Peace.